Good evening and happy July 8th. I'd like to call to order the July 8th, 2024 regular meeting of the school board at 6 p.m. Ms. Marsan, will you take the roll?
Yes, Mrs. Bell,
Here.
Mr. Kuschert,
Here.
Mr. Lentz.
Here, and for the record, I'm disappointed Mr. Wagner didn't use the gavel again.
Mrs. McCabe is not here at the moment. Mr. McNally,
Here.
Mr. Lackner.
Here.
And also, I just want to mention that Mrs. Fairgrieve is absent today. This is due to her travel schedule. Thank you.
That brings us to 1B, pledge to the flag. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. McCabe is unable to attend tonight's board meeting in person. Her absence is in line with policy 2-220, school board meeting procedure. Can I have a motion to approve the remote participation for Becky McCabe?
So moved.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Ms. Marsan, will you take the roll?
Mr. Kuschert,
Yes.
Mr. Lentz,
Yes.
Mr. McNally,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Lackner,
Yes.
and Mrs. McCabe, are you there? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So 2B. That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, the public hearing. Item A, the driver's education fee waiver. I'd like to call to order the public hearing for the driver's education fee waiver. As a reminder, the fee waiver was discussed at the May 30 Business Services Committee meeting and approved for public display at the June 10th, 2024 board meeting. Do any community members have any comments on the public hearing? Do any board members have any comments on the public hearing? The public hearing is now closed at 6:02 p.m. That brings us to item 3 on the agenda, reports to the board, and we'll go with the superintendent's report first.
Thank you, Mr. Lackner. Tonight, we are incredibly honored and proud, and I am absolutely blown away at how many young women have showed up tonight for us to recognize the North girls softball and girls soccer teams. Mr. Joe Benoit is here to do some introductions of coaches, but I would just like to say thank you to the students and our coaches for coming out and again on July 8th, beautiful summer evening, but that you felt that it was that important to be recognized here. So I'm really honored that you're all here. Mr. Benoit, you want to take the microphone and do a little introduction?
Thank you, Dr. Gordon, Board of Education and cabinet members. First of all, we want to thank you for your continued support, not only of the outstanding student athletes behind me, but all the student athletes at St. Charles North and within District 303. Here tonight to present to you 2 first-class programs led by 2 first-class head coaches. And I think it's worth noting both head coaches are District 303 graduates themselves, who have come back to our community and continue to give back in an obviously an outstanding way. When we talk about both of these programs, our soccer team was a state runner-up just a month ago. Our softball team, state champions, their second state championship in 3 years. You know, the student athletes in both of these programs truly embody what it means to be a North Star student athlete. They are absolutely relentless in their approach to be the best that they can be. They conduct themselves with the utmost integrity, both on the field, off the field, in the classroom, within our community. They hold not only themselves accountable, but one another accountable to achieve goals that wouldn't be possible without their teammates. And they also operate with an incredible amount of pride. They have great pride in themselves, in their programs, in St. Charles North and in District 303. And so again, they truly embody what we hope our student athletes to be. You know, a couple months ago, I'm reminded of a conversation I had with Dr. Gordon at a badminton match over at North. And we're sitting back and watching our girls compete in badminton. And we're talking about how rewarding it is to see our kids compete and to see them accomplish their goals, and how much as adults we can be taught by our kids. And I was reminded of that conversation as both of these teams behind me went on their state runs. They've taught all of us a lot about what it means to be a teammate, and what it means to compete at the highest level, and how they represent everything that we do in the absolute best way possible. So we're incredibly honored to be here tonight. I'm very excited to introduce both head coaches too. We'll first start with girls soccer. They've won an amazing 21 straight regional championships in the sport of girls soccer, which is an absolute dynasty. And they finished second in the state this past year. An incredible team, again, coached by an incredible head coach, St. Charles North graduate. I'm excited to bring him forward, Coach Brian Harks.
Thank you very much. At this point, I'd like to call up the members of the team that are present today. Come on up, ladies. Come on over here. You guys can. Yeah. When you hear your name called, just go ahead and raise your hand. We have Addie Priest. We have Chloe Kirsten, Kayla Floyd, Ryan Spalding, Juliana Park, Caitlin Glenn, Kira Kelly, Courtney Sewer, and did I already say Alexanne Phillips? Sorry. I'd like to start this by praising these girls and their teammates for the hard work and dedication that they have shown, not only throughout this season, but the months and even years leading up to it, in order to prepare themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. As we all know, making it to a state championship game is no small feat. I'd also like to commend the parents. With their collaboration, their support in good weather and in a lot of bad weather, as you know, that the spring soccer season a lot of times has. One of the things I would like to do in this moment is acknowledge a few key members of this program in the school. Excellent coaching staff back there. We have Eric Wilson. Yeah. Stephanie Dodd. Brad Schlemmer. And Claudia Najera. Their dedication and passion to the sport has really made me be a better coach, made me strive, and in turn has benefited all of the players in our program. There are other members of the school that I would like to take a moment to acknowledge. My colleagues, some of which have been in this position along. I share an office with one Robert Rooney, who is a very dedicated swim coach, and this gentleman back here, Thomas Poulin, we also share an office. And so with having two minds like that in my office is great. They listen, they provide feedback, and so they provided a lot of support. Within the school, I'd also like to thank Joseph Benoit, right here, our athletic director. And the principal, Shanna Lewis. They've made sure that our program has absolutely everything it needs in order to be as successful as possible. As we made our run towards that state championship game, it seemed to be less about our team and our school and more about our our community and our town. And that was very evident with the support and the emails and the text messages from members of the community. And so I would just like to thank the school board and Dr. Gordon for all of the support that you have given us throughout the course of this season. So at this time, we would like to present Dr. Gordon with your state medal. All right, thank you very much.
Congratulations. Way to go. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Right, next up, two-time state champion St. Charles graduate, our head softball coach, Tom Poulin.
I want to start out by thanking my wife, who's in the hallway back there, who allows me to do what I love to do. And also thank Mr. Benoit for his support. Never felt more supported than in these last couple of years, and along with Shanna Lewis. Awesome combination for our building. So I appreciate what they do on a daily basis. If I could introduce Tice Dennison, my co-head coach, not an assistant coach. Come on up. I just need some company here as I do this. And then girls, you can come on up. This is kind of a special moment because about 20 plus years in the past, they allowed me to be a peer advisor in our peer leadership group, believe that or not, okay? And in that class was in that peer leadership group was Brian Harks. So to fast forward 20 plus years and be standing here sharing a moment like this with him gets me a little bit, okay? Because I love that guy and he does a great job and that program is outstanding. And it's an honor to be here and share the moment with him. So congrats to the soccer team and to Brian Harks and that staff. And thank you, all of you, Dr. Gordon and everybody here for your support throughout the school year. Definitely through our season, through that state send-off. That was very memorable. And, you know, while we were in Peoria, we appreciate everything that you do for us sincerely and honestly. So thank you very much. This group here is the epitome of team. It really is. Been doing this a long time. I haven't had more of a team in any of the sports that I've ever coached. They show up every day and work for each other. They show up every day and they try to help each other be better. And they do this sincerely. And it's not a show and it's not just coach speak. They show up and they try and help each other be better. They sacrifice for the good of the group. They believe that it's for the good of the group, so they do it. They accepted roles once we figured out what those were. And with such a, you know, we had 8 seniors last year. So to replace 8 talented seniors, we had to figure things out, and it was a process. And once their roles were established, they accepted them, they excelled in them, and they were helping others kind of grow their roles and helping others improve throughout the year. No matter if that was a competitor for a position, anything like that, they were teammates first, and that's why they overachieved and did what they did. They really believed in trying to be better than you were yesterday, today. Try and be better today than you were yesterday. They truly believed in that and operated that way, even if it's just a little bit. And you keep stacking those little bits on top of each other. And any adversity that came our way during the season, we had plenty of it. It prepared us. We used it to prepare for the postseason, which is full of adversity and pressure. And they used it as learning experiences, as opportunities to unite even stronger, and really just to improve as a team. So you add that with skills that are unbelievable, talent, unbelievable, training that they've had, and then this work ethic that these kids have nowadays, where this year-round dedication to their craft is amazing. And you add that with the team approach that we had, a sincere team approach, and you can do what they did. And they're an amazing group. They really are. They're an amazing group. They maximize the moment every day, so that when we were in Peoria, we were able to maximize the moment. And that was kind of our rallying cry once we got there. Since we're here, let's win the whole thing, right? And, make the most of this opportunity. And they did it. They overcame adversity throughout the year. They improved on a daily basis, and they achieved the greatest thing that you can achieve in this sport at this level. They're a special group, and I appreciate the recognition because they deserve it. And we thank you, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and introduce each of them individually. We have Haley Nelson. We have Allison Francesconi. I'm a little nervous. We have Addie Umloff. Sophia Olick. Raise your hand. Ivy Gleason. Anna Lamb. Juliana Kuba. Lauren Seiler. Mackenzie Patterson. Ginger Ritter. Maddie Hernandez. Ella Heimbuck. Faith Molesky in the back. Abby Zawadski. Paige Murray. And to present Dr. Gordon with our, oh, I got it. To present Dr. Gordon with the state championship medal is Skylar Ritter. That's why you're here. Awesome, thanks. We appreciate it.
Thank you, coaches. Incredible words about your teams, about your players, about the work, the commitment, the families often go unnoticed in this, that behind the scenes, all the support that it takes to make this occur. We're just so proud of each and every one of our students and our athletes for the work that you do. You really do live the core value of D303 around perseverance. The work that went into this was not just that weekend of those tournaments. It was a long commitment from many years ago to this point. And you really do continue to teach the adults amazing things each and every time. State championship, amazing opportunity. Runner up, I quite honestly, I couldn't be any more proud of a group of people for the runner up for, I don't know, best word I have for it is gut wrenching. But that you persevered, you continue to overcome, and you're here tonight standing so proud of what you've accomplished. We're the board, myself, we're just so proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for coming out again on July 8th to be recognized by us. Board, any other comments?
Well, unfortunately, I was not at the Peoria. It's a bit of a trip for me, but I've been working with the IHSA for about 3 decades now, and I'm always up in the booth, and every year I'm waiting for a St. Charles team to be there. And I was there this year, and they had to shut the windows on me because I kept cheering. And every time something good happened or something bad happened, they had to shut the windows in the booth so that so they wouldn't get phone calls to the IHSA because of that guy in the booth. But it was an incredible performance, and gut wrenching is in fact, I was texting Dr. Gordon telling him what was going on as it was happening. So
Great, it was like play.
So very proud of both teams. First place in state, second place in state. It's farther than I ever got as a coach. So congratulations to coaches as well. So well done.
Thank you all. You certainly may stay for the rest of the board meeting or hit the road. Have a great night. Thank you. That's a good one. That's good. Yeah. All right. For the rest of my superintendent report, I just wanted to let the community know that in your mailboxes in the next couple days, we'll have your report to the community. That will be out to you. We're really proud of celebrating a number of topics and messages that will be sent out. Really proud of our communication team led by our Chief Communications Officer, Scott Harvey, but that will be out into your mailboxes here shortly. You already got him. All right. That's even better news. So with that, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Gordon, for the superintendent's report. That brings us to item 3B, board member reports on committee meetings, and we'll start with learning and teaching.
Okay, thank you. So Learning and Teaching met back on Monday, June 17th at 5:30. We had great discussion. So as a reminder to all those listening or those in attendance, please do go back and review the recordings that are on the district's website. You'll be able to get a little bit more in-depth understanding of the discussion that we've had with these topics. But high-level overview, we started off with PLCs in action. The Learning and Teaching team has continued to give us updates regarding how that's going. And one note that was made was we're all seem to be rowing in the same direction with a continuous feedback loop. So it seems to be going well. We covered areas, focus areas were Algebra 1, middle school ELA acceleration, second grade math, dual language, and foundational reading. So please do go back and take a look-see at that presentation. From there, we moved on to, there had been some questions regarding the elementary boundary transitions and how we are helping all of the stakeholders that are involved in that lengthy process. So again, we went through deep discussion regarding things like celebrations that we're doing at Lincoln and Davis and Richmond, block party. We talked about welcome activities that are happening, new family information sessions and things for parents, students, and staff to stay informed. We discussed the staff transitions, what we're doing to help the staff ease into either new roles, new locations, and so forth. We discussed some professional learning for staffs that are changing both grade levels again and buildings. We had an update regarding intra-district transfer. I think at that time there were 142 requests, and that is open until about a week ago. June 30th, I think, is when that closed. Bless you. We discussed a little bit regarding some of the PTO partnerships with the district changing geographically. Obviously, there were some changes there. And then some of the transportation challenges and or things that we are tackling as we move forward with the changes. Next thing we discussed was some student international travel. I'm super jealous, but it was, I believe that's on consent agenda for this evening for June 18th to the 25th of 2025. The students will be going to Paris, Avignon, and Nice in France. So if you need chaperones, let me know. You then discussed a resource renewal for referral GPS. That too will be on consent agenda for this evening. And there is no meeting here in July. Our next meeting will be Monday, August 19th at 5:30 p.m. Future agenda items, we're planning on discussing the student achievement report in September. So if nothing has changed, I believe that is still the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kuschert. That brings us to business services.
Excellent. So we had a little bit of a lighter business services agenda on the 24th of June. We started off with our normal financial reports. Mid-Valley has no areas of current concern. Our revenue received today is about 80% of budget, which is lower than the 103% last year at this time. That was due to some overbilling and resulting in refunds. So we're on track there. D303 overall revenue and expenditures are trending ahead of prior year at the same time. There's no areas of concern. Then we went into our long-term department budget review. This was the final session of our budget series, to improve the transparency of the district financials. So we presented 5 years worth of financials. We walked through a 5-year budget for our remaining departments, communications. Dr. Gordon already talked a little bit about some of the stuff that communications is doing. The board's budget, the superintendent budget, student services, and our school budgets. A lot of great information about the services provided, as well as some of our obligations. Some really good points too, as far as some of the mandates that we have at a state level and how funding impacts us, and not everything gets funded. So we have to account for that in our budgeting. I would encourage members of the community to go back to that there was a lot of really good information discussed, especially down at a school level as far as how we're changed the process, and the team has really worked very hard to come up with a really good funding rubric that we can track and start to measure and hold things accountable there. Next on the agenda, we had the Naviance contract renewal for the school year 24-25. Naviance is a tool that the district uses to track course credits and completion of graduation requirements. Stores that information as well as information about our alumni success. So we heard tonight about a couple of alumni that have come back to us, right? And are helping lead our successful teams here. The total cost of this renewal is $30,856.95. That is on the consent agenda for this evening. We also had our next item was a construction update. So we've really kicked off kind of what I've been calling the summer of renewal here, right? In D303, we have about more than $23 million worth of maintenance and construction work that is in progress in the district. That's huge. That's the most it's been for many, many years for us, which is wonderful. We got updates from or updates on the moving that's been going on, the demolition work that's happening at Lincoln, the drywall and cabling updates at Haynes for our early childhood, all of the work for the safety and security updates that the board moved forward because we had the construction going on, so we didn't have to do that over again. As well as we had some discussions about preparing whatever facility needs for school start as it gets closer, so extra moving services and stuff like that, because again, we know that our summer timelines this year are very, very tight. Then we had an update on Richmond School construction. So we got some additional cost estimates as well as explanation of some of the reconfiguration that was needed within the plans. Next, we had a brief thing on waste management and recycling bid recommendation. Well, we did receive 2 bids. There was some additional bidding clarification that happened at I believe the day of the committee meeting. So there is an item for action on tonight's agenda regarding that. We'll get a presentation on that. We also had the K-8 food service equipment purchase. So through CKEP USA, the vendor awarded contract through this is again through one of our the Omnia Partners Cooperative. We have a list of our kitchen equipment that needs to be updated across our schools. That is on the consent agenda for today. That's for $179,311.58. Next, we had the early childhood furniture moving services. So Midwest Moving, the same organization that did the move from Lincoln, was doing the move for Fox Ridge, or recommended for Fox Ridge, for $42,080. That is on the consent agenda for today as well. Next was the annual district IT renewals. So these are the annual renewals that include ClassLink and our Google Workspace. The total renewal amount for all the software, it's $101,141.50. These items are on the consent agenda for today as well. And then finally, we also had some student travel to Germany for the summer of 2025. So students would be traveling to Hamburg for a full immersion experience, and will be living with their host families at the German partner school at Sankt Anschlar Schule. That is on the consent agenda for today as well. I think that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Lentz. There's no policy committee report this go around, so that brings us to citizen comments. And we have no citizen comments, which brings us to item 5 on the agenda, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items 5A through 5U?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lentz. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Marsan, can you take the roll?
Mr. Lentz,
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe,
Yes.
Mr. McNally,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert,
Abstain.
Mr. Lackner,
Yes. The motion passes 6 and 1 abstention. 6, 5. I'll get the arithmetic right on that counting. That brings us to our 4 action items, item 6 on the agenda. Item A, the garbage removal and recycling bid recommendation. Can I have a motion to approve the garbage removal and recycling services bid to SBC Waste Solutions?
Are we gonna get
In discussion.
in discussion? Oh,
Yep.
So moved.
second.
Thank you, Mr. McNally and Mr. Lentz. Now for the discussion, I think we'll offer the floor to Mr. Attaway.
Yeah, so as Mr. Lentz mentioned, we did receive some pricing clarifications the day of the business services meeting, which then paused our recommendation to the board. We reviewed those clarifications with the attorney after the fact, and they did not change administration's original recommendation. So we are recommending that we move forward with SBC Waste Solutions from Broadview as the lowest responsive bidder for the garbage removal and recycling services bid.
Seeing no other discussion, Ms. Marsan, will you take the roll?
yes, Mrs. McCabe,
Yes.
Mr. McNally,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert,
Yes.
Mr. Lentz,
Yes.
Mr. Lackner,
Yes. That brings us to item B, the driver's education waiver for school years 2025 to 2030. Can I have a motion to approve the waiver for a driver's education fee of $600 and further authorize administration to submit the required documents to the appropriate state agencies?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lentz. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McNally. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Marsan, will you please take the roll?
Mr. McNally,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert,
Yes.
Mr. Lentz,
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe,
Yes.
Mr. Lackner,
Yes, that item passes 6-0. That brings us to item 7 on the agenda for information. There are 5 informational items in your packet. The District 303 Financial Report, the Mid-Valley Financial Report, Freedom of Information Act requests, district enrollment, notification of sale of bonds. That brings us to item 8 on the agenda, new business. Item 8A, board members, do any board members have any new business they would like to introduce?
Yeah, I've had a number of inquiries from members of the community about us when we're gonna elect a new vice president, what's the next steps for the board. I think there's a lot of questions out there, so that's one thing that I'd like to pose to, what's next steps with that.
Yeah, I too have received questions regarding that process and what occurred and why and how we'll be moving forward. So I think that's a great point, Mr. Lentz.
I too have heard quite a bit of conversation in the community about it. I was in a community meeting this morning and heard quite a bit about that. I suggest that we have a discussion item on the next agenda associated with it.
The only other, I just have a question, and it's my standing question at this point in the year. I think every year is how we're looking as far as enrollment and, the cap and send and so forth.
Yeah,
We've had to do any of that yet.
Yeah, we're looking good. We just spent about an hour today with a number of cabinet members, led by Jared, walking us through where are we at with the close of the inter-district transfer process. We're feeling really good about our numbers. At this point, we've added a section or two throughout different schools, but feeling good about the numbers as we sit today.
Yeah, I beeline to Mr. Buxton when I saw the enrollment numbers, because there were a couple on there that I was like, but good news, so.
Yeah, it's shaking out. It's looking good across the board for all the work the board put into this process of boundary changes. It's not perfect, but I'm feeling very hopeful about where we're at on July 8th. One piece that I would add in there, I know I'm not a board member, but I'm going to be at that August board meeting during superintendent report, I'll be doing a high-level overview of the superintendent goals, which are directly related to the strategic plan and our work as a board superintendent partnership. So that will occur during the August board meeting.
I had one additional item. It's not necessarily new business. I don't think, you know, in the last full board meeting, went pretty quickly where there's a lot going on in it. And we didn't really have an opportunity, Paul, to really thank you, and also to congratulate you. Like I'm obviously speaking for myself on this, but I'm very excited, about the new contract and, you know, again, just the vote of confidence for you, from working with you and the team. I mean, for the Business Services Committee, I know there's been a lot, right? And we've asked, especially, you know, this year going through and doing, hey, 5 years worth of budgets, right? Like that hasn't been done in this district before. And you and the team, Justin, the team, like, it's been a pleasure to work through that. And I really appreciate where you're working to take the district. So I wanted to thank you and share that, because we went a little fast last time, right? So.
Really do. Thank
Just one other item, today being July 8th, I believe this is the day that AP scores come out. And I've asked a few times, if we can get that AP report. I think we're probably in a good position now where we can probably get that and get a good solid AP report, kind of similar to the way we used to do it, so we can get a high level view of what's going on with the AP class.
Okay.
Seeing no other new business discussion, that brings us to item 9, citizen comments, end of meeting citizen comments. We have none. And that brings us to item 10. Can I have a motion to adjourn the July 8th, 2024 regular board meeting at 6:37?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. McNally and Mr. Lentz. Ms. Marsan, will you take the roll?
Mrs. Bell,
Yes.
Mr. Kuschert,
Yes.
Mr. Lentz,
Yes.
Mrs. McCabe.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. McNally,
Yes.
Mr. Lackner.
No. The motion passes 5-1.